Travel and Things, in association with Ruggedware, Real People, Real Clothing, Real Solutions, presents In Conversation With. I am your host, David Batsoffen, and today, just something a little bit different. Fasttrack, admin, CEO, operator, owner, general dog's body, and somebody who will make you coffee if you visit him, Ross Sommerville, is my guest. And we're not talking racing cars, are we, Ross? Good morning. Welcome.
Morning. Thanks, David.
So what are we talking about?
So today we're going to talk about prepaid elect, one of the few options that clients in Joburg have in terms of electricity billing,
Right.
and why it's the way forward.
So when people talk about prepaid, they have this, notion in the back of their heads that they're going to run out of electricity, the token's not going to work, the installation is going to take months and months and months while City of Johannesburg bills them for exorbitant amounts, and they have to pay for prepaid electricity. So take us back. So what you are, or what Fasttrack is an admin company. So people can do this themselves if they have the time, the inclination, and the cojones of steel to go and sit in one of the COJ offices and deal with people behind a desk, or they can come to you and just hand you paperwork and some money and go, you sort this out. So take us through the process that people will go through if they use a company like yours.
Cool. So initially, I think let's start off by saying not all properties in Joburg are supplied by City of Joburg or City Power. There are actually a few areas within Joburg, like Sandton, Soweto, and whatnot, who get the electricity directly from Eskom.
Okay.
We don't get Eskom. Eskom also do offer different options in terms of postpaid or prepaid, but we don't deal with Eskom. So the bulk of properties within the city, we can help with, but not all. So assuming the property or the client does get their electricity bill to them with the City of Joburg bill, then we can help in getting them switched over. So typically the process is they would give us a call, we would send them an information pack that sort of outlines the process, the fee, and gives them a letter of authority that we can act on their behalf. And we would then pull up their account. Before we start anything, we'll have a look to make sure that they are actually being billed, correctly on a residential tariff, not on estimations or something silly like that. And if the bill seems fine, then we'll proceed with the application for prepaid conversion. So that basically entails filling out an application form, attaching a bunch of documents, and then that gets submitted to City of Joburg. So City of Joburg then send that through to City Power. City Power have to do a quotation. I'm not sure why, because the fee is predetermined every year. City Power then quote for the wrong thing. We go back to City Power and say, no, this is what we're asking for. Oh, okay, they'll fix it. Then we go back to City of Joburg. They'll print out the quotation. The client then makes the payment into their normal COJ account. Then we have to go to COJ to say that payment that came in is not for last month's rates and taxes. It's for this. And then once we've got them to allocate the payment correctly, it pops up on City Power system to say, okay, this is applied for and it's paid for, and let's send out a technician. They then appoint a contractor because for whatever reason, City Power don't seem to have a lot of electricians working for them. So they outsource that to a contractor who will then usually pitch up at your door without much notice.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. They tried to follow me into my gate. All of a sudden, there's a vehicle in my rearview mirror, and I closed the gate very sharpish. And I sort of said, "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" And they said, "No, we're from City Power. We happen to be up the road, so we thought if we'd come and see if you were home."
Yeah.
But now, if they hadn't have found me, I suppose it could have been days, if not weeks, before they came back.
So hopefully not. That's one of the things that we picked up on is, although we fill in an application and it's got all your current details and phone number and email address.
Sorry, Ross, just before you continue, you're sliding further and further down in your chair or away from your camera. There you go. Thank you for coming back. I had visions of you disappearing from your screen altogether. All right. Yeah. So we were saying,
so when we do the application, they get updated contact numbers, email addresses, things like that. But what we find is in that process where City of Joburg get the stuff and they send it to City Power, at some point, all the documents that they insist that we provide, they get shredded. And what they give to the contractor is your billing profile from 1994 when you had a home telephone number at a property you lived in, 3 houses back. And that's why the contractors never seem to get hold of you or try and get hold of you. So we've realized that's a problem, and it's another step that we put in first. Before we actually start the process, we update your personal details with City of Joburg so that it's linked to your current property. It's got your current phone number.
I have to say that they did try and call me moments before they drove in behind me, but I didn't recognize the number, so I didn't answer it. And I was driving in my car and my phone wasn't paired. So I didn't want to take the call. I didn't think it was that important. Turns out it was. The beauty with the guys that rocked up at my place or at our house was that they were incredibly fast. In fact, filling out the paperwork took longer than it did to install the meter or to remove the old meter, install the new meter, and put that little control panel inside. I think that all took 20 minutes.
Yep, and in some cases, it's even quicker than that. Depending on the brand of meter that you currently have, some of the meters can actually be converted. They don't have to be replaced at all. So they don't charge a fee, but the guy pitches up with his van and he walks into your house and he comes to your keypad and he punches in a code and he leaves. And the whole process is done within, 1 minute. So it's sometimes like that. But in your case, the meter that was at the property wasn't compatible to be reprogrammed, so it was replaced at no extra cost to you.
Yeah. No, but the issue then became, and I'm sure we're not alone in this, COJ decided at roughly the same time we converted to do a maintenance upgrade on their entire system that they thought would take minutes because they just push update, like we all do. And of course, it didn't update because there were lots of bugs and all sorts of things running around in their system. So it's taken longer, and therefore people in the same position as we are now waiting to be shifted to prepaid and not have to pay the exorbitant network fees and all that sort of stuff again.
So that's it. So, this month has been particularly hard there with the system being off for, it was essentially a month from the 3rd to the 4th of March. And we only really got up and running again Monday this week. And even then, some departments still had limited access. So, it really was a month where we sat on our hands and weren't able to do much at all. It is also normal, after the conversion is done, what you need to recall or remember is your February account wouldn't be for February's consumption. That was for January's consumption. Yeah. So if you convert your meter in April, the chances are you've still got a bill that needs to come before the electricity will completely disappear off of the account.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And quite often there is a delay in getting that process of updating the account done. But when it does get done, whatever needs to be reversed, whatever's been billed after the date of conversion will be reversed. We don't have issues where clients are billed for 2-3 months afterwards and it doesn't then get reversed. In the sort of worst case scenario where it takes a long time to update, the reversals are done. That makes up the biggest part of the time that we need to invest in this process. The bulk of the time we spend is actually after the conversion is done, is to get the account updated.
I was going to say that's the difference between using somebody like Fasttrack Admin or doing it yourself, because we've just handed and others like us just hand our paperwork over to you and then send you naggy WhatsApps going, what's going on? We don't physically have to walk in to a COJ office and have to explain to somebody behind the counter from square one all over again. And then you brought the wrong paperwork and it's back and forth. And it's just a pain in the butt. The computer's down. It's load shedding.
Yep, all of that. It's all a factor.
Ross, do you see this? And I know that you've just installed solar for your own personal use. Do you believe that solar together with prepaid is the way to go going forward? Because I see just recently there was another press release from COJ going, we cannot handle what's happening in Johannesburg at the moment. I think it was 1,500 outages just a few days ago. and chaos reigns. They haven't got technicians, they haven't got spares, and people are going, well, it's not load shedding, it's outages, and then the outages get fixed, and then they get fixed during load shedding. So is solar and prepaid, or even just prepaid, the way to go going forward?
So, definitely yes. I've just done solar, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't do it 2 or 3 years ago. I was one of those that sort of first went the route of buying a small inverter to run my Wi-Fi, and then, a slightly bigger inverter trolley that will run my TV and my Wi-Fi. And my wife was like, no, we need to get a proper system. And I was like, no, they're going to get independent power producers on the thing. It's going to be temporary. It's all going to sort of fall away. And, we realize now that hole that Eskom is in is much, much deeper than we imagined. So I think load shedding is here to stay. So the solar on that basis is definitely, worthwhile.
Yeah.
And where that feeds into the prepaid system is, regardless of solar, the way the prepaid savings work is essentially, regardless how much electricity you use, it will be cheaper to be on a prepaid system. But the lower your electricity consumption, the higher those savings are.
Yeah.
Because the fixed charges make up a greater percentage. If you're a low power user, your actual use is a couple of $100, but your network and service charges are $800. Whereas if you're a high power user, your network and service charges are $800 or $900, and you're using 4 or 5 grand, it's not a huge percentage. But as a low power user, those fixed charges make up a massive percentage. So definitely for anyone who's gone solar, and they've seen a drop in their consumption, then prepaid will start making more and more sense.
Well, we've seen this in just a few months that we've been working, that you and I have been working together, and that it's dropped. And I was saying to my wife that I believe that we can drop this again. We picked a figure, and we've been using that the last couple of months. But for next month, I'm going to take $50 off that and see if that works. And eventually we will get to an amount.
Yeah, the other funny thing about the prepaid, it's almost like that old thing about going to a shop and taking cash notes out your wallet as opposed to swiping your credit card. And they sort of feel, if you use your credit card, it doesn't feel like real money. The prepaid is that, that even though you're buying your token online and not using rand, hard notes to buy the token, that actual process of punching it in subconsciously makes people more aware of their electricity consumption. You start monitoring it, and you start saying, oh, well, let me not waste this and switch that light off. Or, I think there is definitely, in addition to the network and the service charge that falls away, there's an actual saving because you become more aware of your use.
Indeed. You do indeed. But what's the next step, if there is one? So if subscribers, or if people are coming to you and saying, look, Ross, we've gone solar, we want to go prepaid, but we've seen articles that the current meters don't work anymore, and then in 17 minutes time those things are going to be obsolete, and then we have to start the process all over again. The naysayers and the doom mongers are out there. I saw it again 2 days ago on an article saying meters are going to have to be changed. And then you read the article and it's meters from 1994 type of thing.
So that's exactly it. So while prepaid has sort of become more commonplace now in the northern suburbs where we are, they've actually been around for a very long time in other areas. And some of those meters, like you say, they've been in existence for 15, 20 years, and they're due for replacement, So that's nothing to panic about. I got a lot of calls, for people that we've done prepaid meters over the last 12 months. And they say, oh, now this meter's not going to work. So, no, your meter's going to be fine. It's current.
Look, I remember when they changed our regular electricity meter. They arrived and said, we need to change. And I sort of went, why? I don't want you to change. I did the whole song and dance in the driveway. And the guy said, well, if you don't, I'm going to phone the police, and then we're going to, we will gain access to your property. Just let us in, we're here, type of thing.
Yeah. The other thing on that, there's so many guys pretending to be city power contractors, so there is a reason to be skeptical when somebody just pitches up. Not in the case where you've applied for a conversion, and you're kind of expecting the guys to come, but certainly when it's a case of them just routinely going around changing meters, you do think twice about just letting these guys into your house,
Yeah.
And most times your security would be willing to pop around and just,
yeah,
before you open the gates.
Well, the guys that arrived at my gate were very accepting of the fact that people are a little reticent. Back in the days where I grew up, we didn't even have, we had a tiny garden wall. I think it was like 6 bricks high and a gate that you could just open and walk right up to the front door and ring the bell. I defy anybody in Johannesburg to try doing that in any suburb in Joburg. Those sort of walls don't exist. And you've got to ring at the gate bell, and then the security arrive before the homeowner does.
Yeah, we've got 1 or 2 in our area. There's 1 or 2 houses where there's obviously old school people living there, and they just don't want to be walled in and fenced in. And you drive past with the kids, and they look at this house, and they're like, well, I don't have where's their fence?
Yeah, when those need to be photographed and kept for posterity, so people can remember in the far distant future. Ross, if people want to get hold of you, how do they do it? Do they just pick up a phone and phone Fasttrack, or can they go through the process or the beginnings of the process via your website?
Yeah, the website or popping us an email is usually a good place to start. Email address, new accounts @fasttrackadmin.co.za, or they can have a look on our website. There's a link there to the email. But if they want to have a chat, they're welcome to give us a call as well. We sort of here Monday to Friday, normal office hours. And again, the phone number is also on the website if there's a link there.
Great stuff. So people, there you've heard it from an expert. If you're worried at all about what's happening specifically in our city here in Johannesburg, because this chat may be viewed elsewhere, but who knows? People in other South African cities, people in international cities may also have this option. I know Cape Town's been on prepaid for the longest time. You sort of go and buy your groceries and tokens for the week or whatever the case might be. So Fasttrack Admin CC is the place to go. Have a look there, and don't delay. Do it today, because you will thank both Ross and myself afterwards that we've steered you in the right direction. And by the way, if you're going to use this together with solar, go the biggest system you can afford without putting yourself into debt, because that's the way forward. Don't start off. You heard what Ross said: 1 inverter, 2 inverters, 2nd inverter, 3rd inverter, small power system. You're going to have to upgrade at some particular point. You may as well have bought COJ and run it for your own account, Ross. And you're not alone in that. Ross Sommerville, who's the owner-operator of Fasttrack Admin CC. Let me just put that slide back up so people know what we're talking about. It's there. And they can get hold of Ross or one of his staff, and they will do the necessary for you. Ross, once again, thanks for being my guest here on In Conversation With. Always good to have interesting people with different skill sets, and this is certainly something I knew nothing about just a couple of months ago. So thanks very much for being here with me.
Thanks for your time, David. I appreciate it.